everybody. Welcome to So Much Talk, SEW Much Talk. This is Ruthie of Ruthie K's and Anna of RK
Artisans?
Artisans. Yes, she is our main RK Artisans person. And those are our two websites that we have is ruthieksinc.com and rkartisans.com. One of them is all about sewing and the other is about handcrafted items. Guess what? Many of them are sewing, but we have other things in the RK Artisan store, which is what that is, and it's a home goods store. So we have all kinds of exciting stuff in there. Today, what we're talking about is the process of custom and a custom timeline. We talked last time about having different timelines for alterations versus custom. If you come to me wanting an alteration, our turnaround at Ruthie K's tends to be about 7 to 14 days, usually not any longer than that. And we can make that shorter if we have the time and necessary. So as said in past videos, be sure to always talk to your tailor. If you like your tailor, talk to your tailor and see if they can fit you in. Okay? That's one of the things that's part of the timeline. But when you have a custom timeline, it's going to take a little longer. And the custom process was one that we were going to talk about here. And that is that the first thing you do is you call up and you make an appointment. And the first consultation appointment, if we haven't met before, is going to be all about do we like each other? Do we want to work together? Because we're going to become really friendly, as I told one of my customers who I recently made a 4-piece suit for. We're going to become close friends because you're going to have to come back a lot. And most custom, just due to the other things that the business does, is going to take about 3 to 5 months. Okay. Now, if it's a wedding gown, it may take longer than that. And part of the timeline has to do with when we can get all of the pieces in that we need to actually make the product. If we're making you a wedding gown, for example, and your fabric is coming from China or Belgium, Belgium has some lovely, lovely wedding gown type fabrics, by the way, check out Etsy, then it may take longer. And that depends on just how quickly we can get that fabric in or that piece in from wherever we're getting it. Because maybe you want these particular buttons and we can only get them from Europe. That may take us a little bit longer. With everything going on in the world, you also might have to make some changes. So be aware when you're working with custom and we're buying in some specialty stuff that sometimes there will be changes that have been made. Couple years ago, right out of COVID, I got some material, some beautiful material that I got to work with from the Ukraine. Well, that's not happening right now. Due to what's going on in their country, that business is no longer a viable option. So we'd have to look for something someplace else. So be aware, we're talking a global market of where to get product. If it's something we have locally, that's awesome. We can get that done a lot quicker. So that's just, and I'm stressing that just because it's a very important part of the timeline of when we're going to be able to finish the product. The other thing is we need to make you a pattern. If it's a custom thing, we're either going to make you a pattern or you're going to bring me something you want me to make a pattern off of. It's like, I have this lovely shirt and I want 20 more of them. Okay, we're going to use that shirt. I'm going to make you a pattern and then we're going to get the fabric and make that. Okay, so we have the consultation. We determine what you want. Then we make a pattern for what it is we're going to make you. In the meantime, we're also looking at fabric and where to source that fabric from. We may have to take time to buy samples. And that's going to be part of your cost. A sample is usually going to be the minimal amount of fabric you can get. And right now, at most places, it's a quarter yard. So if your fabric is $20 a yard, it's going to be a quarter of that price. And we're going to get those samples in. You're going to check those samples. And then we're going to order the fabric for you. Then we have to wait for the fabric to come in. We have no control over that between the mail service, transportation, and our vendor. Our vendors are usually really good. It's usually the time it takes to get it to us. Then once we get that fabric, we're going to then start working on the actual fabric. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that fabric to come, I'm going to make you what's called a sloper or a sample pattern, shall we call it. That's a good term for it. And what we do here at Ruthie K's right now is we make them out of sheets because somebody gave me a whole box of sheets. Don't worry, they're all clean. And so I make that first pattern out of something that doesn't cost as much, and it will also help become the actual fitted pattern for that garment. By the time we're done with that and that's all fitted, we hope that transportation has got us your regular fabric. And I take this new adjusted pattern and we then cut it out of your regular fabric and you come and try it on. And sometimes that process is really quick and sometimes that process is going to take numerous fittings. And that's because this is a custom item. You want it to actually fit you the way you want. Then when we're totally done, you walk away with a beautiful garment and hopefully leave us a good review and a picture with you in it, preferably, because we love to show off you in your amazing garments. Because one of the big things with my business, the Ruthie K side, is that I want you to feel really good about yourself and I want it to boost your confidence. Now, when we're talking payments, a pattern is going to cost you. That's part of the extra cost is you're getting a pattern. Here's the advantage of getting an actual pattern. We're making this pattern and it fits you right now. So if you decide you want 20 shirts, after we go through this whole process the first time, you call me and say, hey, Ruthie, I want another shirt. And I say, okay, what fabric do you want? And then one of us gets the fabric and we make you a new shirt. So you don't have to redo that pattern until that pattern no longer fits you. If you gain 30 pounds, we're going to have to make you a new pattern. Okay. Just to be aware, that pattern is an additional cost. The fittings and all are all incorporated into the cost of your garment. You'll also pay for your fabric on top of the cost of me making the garment. The labor is a cost of its own, and that's me making it. If you buy the fabric, you pay for it up front. If you don't buy the fabric, if I buy the fabric, then I add it to the cost in total, and you pay half up front, and that's non-refundable, and then you pay the second half when we're completed. And why is that? Well, that's because that first half is going to pay for all of the cost of getting all the supplies to make your garment. And once that's bought, I can't turn those back in. That's the thing with sewing stuff is once you buy a piece of fabric, you can't take it back to the fabric store and say, hey, I don't want this anymore. So that's where we are. Now, if I make the garment and for whatever reason you decide that you don't want it, that's fair, but I've been through all that process, your tailor's been through all that process, and this garment actually fits you. So leaving it with me doesn't do me any good. Nobody else is going to be able to wear your custom garment. So what's the biggest thing we want to do is we want to talk, my friend. I need to know exactly what it is that you want so that I can give you that exact product. I hope this has been helpful, and it's very much more detailed than I usually just give in general, but I'm getting a lot more custom. And so that means people out there are wanting a lot more custom. And then you should know the process of what you have to go through to get that. And it's a lot of questions, of looking at a lot of pictures in that first consultation, and maybe it'll end up in a second consultation where we're deciding what it is that you want so that you can have that ultimate perfect garment that actually fits you. Custom is amazing that way. And when we hit that imperfection on the end, then the cool part is you're going to want to wear this garment again and again and again. and that's very exciting to me. And when you wear this garment, it's gonna make you feel good, and that's exciting to me. So this is Ruthie of Ruthie K's, and this is the whole timeline of how to make a custom garment.